Prepare for a pulse-pounding plunge into a perplexing playground of Halloween hijinks in this Kickstarter preview edition of Little Big Thumbs. Welcome to Little Big Thumbs, a channel that's all about finding great games that are equally fun for little players and big players. My name is JP, and today we're going to talk about roll and move games. It's pretty common for modern gamers to turn up their noses to a game that uses the building blocks of chutes and ladders. But if a game in this genre manages to infuse some interesting decisions along the way, shouldn't we be willing to give that game a closer look? Haunted Halloween is a family-friendly game designed by a friendly family, and we think it's one that's worth that second look. In this video, we're going to offer a general overview of the game as well as our 3 uniques that make this game stand out in the crowded landscape of tabletop crowdfunding. So grab your favorite costumes and trick-or-treat bags because it's time for us to learn more about Haunted Halloween. Before we get started, it's worth noting that the copy of the game we're using today is very much a prototype, with plenty of homemade components on the table. The quality of the game bits and even the game rules themselves are going to be much more polished by the time it reaches its final form. In Haunted Halloween, players are dressed up for some good old-fashioned trick-or-treating, as players race around the neighborhood looking to visit 6 doors before their parents and guardians call everyone home for bedtime. The game begins with players in their starting neighborhood, where we assume they all live. But in order to get the best candy, we'll need to venture out a little bit further, which requires passing through a spooky graveyard along the way. As soon as a player enters that graveyard, their footsteps awaken a ghost, which begins following the players, and also has a hankering for some of those tasty Halloween treats. Turns involve rolling this orange die and moving your trick-or-treater any number of spaces up to and including the number rolled. Once a player moves into that central graveyard, they will also roll this purple die to move the game's ghostly rivals. We'll each be using these ghosts to chase down the other players and make them drop their candy. If on a turn a player's movement takes them to a neighborhood doorstep, they will spin the trick-or-treat spinner, which will give them some candy, or, if they're really unlucky, discover that there was no one home. Regardless of the spin result, after a player visits a house, they will drop one of their costume tokens on that house to help them remember that they've already been there, because we cannot visit the same house twice. If a player ends their turn on the doorstep of the haunted house, they receive a glow stick, which can be discarded later in the game to scare off a ghost, or kept as an endgame bonus point. The haunted house also has its own die, which has the potential for even bigger candy payouts than the spinner. Once a player has dropped 6 of their costume tokens at houses, it's time to race back to the starting neighborhood and get ready to eat some candy before bed. After one player returns to the starting area, everybody gets one more turn, and then we count up our points. We get 1 point for each piece of candy, 1 point for each costume token dropped, and 1 point for an unused glow stick. And the player with the most points wins the game. Haunted Halloween also includes several additional elements which can be layered into the game for added complexity and variety. So that's our quick overview of the game. There's a little bit more to it than what I've explained here, and it's quite possible that the rules I have explained will change a little bit by the time you see this video. You can get the full rundown of Haunted Halloween by visiting the Kickstarter campaign page that's linked in this video description. Now let's do some diddly diddlies and transition into our 3 uniques for this game. Our first unique that we'd like to spotlight is that Haunted Halloween actually captures the essence of trick-or-treating. Just like in real life, you're going to go to some doors that have run out of candy, or you might find a home that gives you a huge payload of tasty treats. And while getting no goodies on your turn doesn't feel particularly great, the mystery of what's waiting for us at that next doorstep keeps the excitement bubbling, especially for young players. Our second unique is that Haunted Halloween is a highly interactive game. Many of us have grown up with roll and move games that lack meaningful decisions, and don't allow players to have those in-game social exchanges that really can make a game fun for both kids and adults. And while the chaos elements of the dice and spinner here dictate a lot of the action in Haunted Halloween, the fact that we're not only trick-or-treating, but also chasing each other around the board with ghosts keeps a healthy tension in the game that's meaningful without being overly mean. Unless that banshee is out on the board. Yikes! And our third and final unique is that Haunted Halloween can actually be played with real Halloween candy. After a successful trick-or-treat outing, who hasn't wanted to sit down with their friends or siblings, pour out their candy, and find a way to make it all into a game? Well, with Haunted Halloween, you can do exactly that. Just set those candy tokens aside and replace the little pumpkin with a large bag or bowl and watch the stakes rise higher than ever. Just remember not to eat your candy until the end of the game, because each piece of candy is a point, which makes the term sweet, sweet victory more literal than ever before. Family board gamers have an endless parade of Halloween games to choose from these days, but there really aren't that many that offer a genuine trick-or-treating experience while also making sure that kids and adults can make some consequential decisions along the way. And that vacant space in between decisionless kids games and heavyweight horror games is the perfect spot for a game like Haunted Halloween to arrive on the scene. We hope you've enjoyed this Kickstarter preview video, and if this is a game that seems like it might be a good fit for you, make sure to check out the Kickstarter campaign link in the description of this video. Thank you to Castle Clark Games for giving us a sneak peek at the prototype of their game, and as always, thank all of you for watching along. And until next time, whether you've got little players or big players, make sure that you keep playing games that make your thumbs go way up. Bye for now.